Hello, everybody. I'm Renita. Greetings from Berlin. Let's talk today together about how great employer brand can help you to save on payroll cost. I'm doing this type of recording first time in my life, and I have incredible difficulties to hear my own voice. I think it actually sounds like, Buratino or some weird carrot voice and so on. But let's try to do it together. Some words about me. I'm kind of recent Berliner, around 2 years here. I'm originally from Tallinn, Estonia. And why I should be here talking about employer branding, I think back in time it goes to that lots of companies came to us to our previous company with difficult situations in recruitment. They didn't have really good brand in the market, they were new to market, or there was bad situation with their brand. In those cases, we actually offered them also together with recruitment some employer branding help. Also, I have been jury of Estonian Dream Employer already 6 years. Same duties as a jury. 3 years already in HR brand Belarus and HR brand Uzbekistan. This year, surprise, surprise, I also was invited to be part of employer brand Bulgaria. And I can't be delighted enough to see how many interesting projects are actually in represented in this kind of competitions, and how creative people really are, and how they really try to get their brand and employer brand better. About Bubble, if anybody would be interested to actually learn languages, that it's the right place to come. Let me know if you're interested to try. End of the slides are actually email address when you can contact me. You can find me on LinkedIn. All versions are good. We have 2 offices. One main office is in Berlin, other one in New York. We're still trying, hiring globally and relocate everybody to Berlin. Even it have been pretty tough in COVID pandemic times. Medium, like 8 months to get person hired and to get them here to Berlin, but we still haven't lost our hope to do so. With our app, actually, you can learn 14 different languages, and we all living a mission that everybody learn a language. Some other numbers about Bubble, if you're interested in, that you can have a little more context what we're doing and what I'm working with. I have talent acquisition team, 5 talent acquisition managers and me, and we are also partially responsible employer brand in Bubble. Now let's talk about employer brand. What kind of weird animal is this employer brand? Who knows? There is actually so many different interpretation of that, what the employer brand is. And for me, it's everything which makes you different, everything which makes your brand unique and stand out, everything which would make your target group or candidates join your company, everything which gives you a why and gives a why to the candidates. You said, this is something, it's really me. I actually understand which is into that for me. And I think it's also about feeling. It's also about feeling how we, as a brand, want our candidates to feel about us. And we can actually influence that part. Of course, employer brand have some parts which is very hard to influence, but we should strategically influence that what we can. And it was kind of interesting back in times when I was still working in a Estonian company. Several times, CEO, the managers came to me and said, hey, let's start building this thing now, this employer brand thing. And let's start it from the root. And I said, yeah, but actually, guys, you have one. If you want it or not, you have one. Let's find out what it stands for and what we can do with it. Is it bad? Is it good? But it's there. And I totally understand that also employer brand is something which is kind of foggy. It's difficult to measure and it's a long process. If you start today, I think, and you haven't done anything about your employer brand, I'm sure that it would take you years to get really, really touchable outcome from that. But I really, really encourage everybody to start. How your internal and external brand is matching is very important, because very often we see the very, very flashy marketing campaigns when we're talking about that everything is great and all happen and all functions. But then you hear how these companies people are talking about their brand or culture, and it's really not matching what we see outside. I think we all need to be a little bit more authentic and really talk about our challenges as well. And it's okay. Everything don't need to be like a rose garden. No, people want actually that kind of job. People want to have challenges. People want to resolve problems, but the people really want to have authentic conversation about it. They should know about it. And let's not just, put lipstick on a pig. It's just a pig. I mean, you all know that it's not going to change it. It's a pig with a bad makeup. And everybody's going to know that. It just looks ugly. Also, 50% of employees say that they would not join an employer with a negative reputation. And how much more you actually should pay that they would up to that? What's the price? You can think of yourself, what would be a price for you if you would join a company which are really known in your own market with a very, very negative reputation? What's the price? Meaning you're going to spend at least 8 hours there. And if it's a bad culture or you have very bad leadership, do you really want it to yourself? I mean, there is people with different challenges, and of course there is price for different things. But I think normally it would be no. And also we can talk that one thing is to have like a bad image. Another thing is actually to have no image at all, which is also complicated, as again, from my previous company's example, was even companies which were known in other markets, and they came to Estonia and said, yeah, but we are a very known brand. I would say like, Norway or Denmark or something like that. And we don't need to make any campaign here. And I said, I'm not sure about it, because you really need to actually create trust as an employer, because it is a life-changing decision. I need to resign my previous job and say that I trust you and I work with you. If you definitely not, Facebook or Amazon or Google or Uber, something which is really, really very known, then I would suggest wait, do the campaign and get closer to the local market and understand them and see also what kind of communication really works with them. And yeah, if you didn't do your job, you have an option to just, overpay the candidates and try if somebody really aligns to that. But is it always the candidate you really would want? That one which you can actually just buy and they not align to your company or your values because they just wanted a bigger salary? Just a point to think about. Also, 92% of employees say that they would consider changing jobs if the company who made the offer have great image in the labor market. It's kind of a high percent. And imagine what kind of miracle it does for your employer brand or sourcing efforts or your outreach. Because I can now measure it in my previous company when I had clients who didn't have brand, or some clients who actually had bad employer brand. And now I work in Bubble in Berlin, and Bubble is a very known brand in Berlin market. It's so much easier. It's like if you make a sourcing outreach, it's just they're gonna respond to you. Even if the response is no, it's a response, and they would say that okay, it's not for now, but maybe later. They really considering that maybe we're gonna have something in the future, and they're gonna not cut the communication. That it just make it easier, and you always get somebody who said, yeah, I wasn't thinking really to change jobs, but as I really found a Bubble as a brand, I would have a conversation with you, and then we as a talent acquisition people will have a chance here, is it? Show me how you care. Actually, this is very pandemic related thing. I was hiring really in the peak of pandemic, and it came out that it's super important to people to understand a few things. That if your company is somebody who they can trust, the business goes well, and you keep your promises, what you're saying, and how you care about your people. I mean, your candidates wanted to know how you care about your current people. And of course, if you care enough of current people, they will also actually share your content and share all those findings and how you did it. And you should use it for your employer brand as well. For us was definitely a very hot topics like how you support parents if both parents are actually working in lockdown time. How you support them, because it's sometimes impossible to work at home and have also 3 kids for homeschooling. How you support mental health issues like sport. How you support the home office. Do you do something for that people would actually work in healthy condition? All those things, and you actually can support your brand with that. And I think the part of caring is here to stay. That after the situation we were in, I think people are more careful with that, which kind of company they join, and if people there really care about you in tough times. New normal. I actually included it because this is something I have talked lately quite much, and it's something which still comes up very often. People are asking me about silver linings and when this all things finish, what's then? I'm not really sure anything gonna finish really. I think everything is already changed so much that we can't go back to the ways of working we had previously pre-pandemic, and they're gonna change even more. For employer branding side, what I actually want to bring in here is new understanding of your communication and AVP. Meaning, if we previously were, for example, all in office, now we have probably people who work remote. Now we have people who work actually in hybrid situation. Then if you keep hiring like that, those remote people should have different AVP and communication than the people in hybrid. Meaning remote people won't care about your bike or office or culture here. And also you're going to compete with totally different companies in both those groups. In one situation, you would actually compete companies still in Berlin, which we know how it goes, and we know who are actually our competitioners and how to deal with them and what they're actually offering and where we actually see ourselves in market. Now, totally remote is something new for us, and we need to really understand which is our offering in that market, with whom we're really competing for this talent, and are we even up to that game? I don't know, maybe it comes up that I'm going to compete with remote talent with Twitter, Facebook, and Google. maybe still it's not for us. We need to be realistic. Of course, distinctive employer brand is something which brings you people, and it's help you to really build a talent pool. I think you can already understand that you have done something right. People start to write to you in different channels saying that I'm big fan of the company, or I'm big fan of Pablo. I really want to join your company and I'm up to waiting. Please let me know. Keep in touch, send me your newsletter and so on. Imagine if you right now really build this talent pool, and I don't mean here like some dead ATS, but you really need to then deal with them as well and keep them posted and so on. In that case, how easy it would be actually you to fulfill jobs. You don't need to actually make any job posting and buy those packages. You don't need to deal with recruitment agencies. You need fewer recruiters. It takes less time to headhunt and source. And of course, your business and hiring manager are going to be much, much more happier because they actually can also be successful in their part of that and achieve their goals. Referrals or recommendations, for my opinion, are gold mine, but they only work if your internal brand is good. I mean, that your employer brand is sold to your own people, that they believe in your brand and want to actually refer your friends, family, whatever, because I don't think they wouldn't bring anybody in if they would hate the company. What would I say to my friend that, yeah, hey, maybe you want to join, but I'm kind of out already myself? That really great source. And actually, if we count public channels, referrals actually are in a third place. First for us is still on our career page. It actually functions pretty well. Second one is LinkedIn. To say so that it's for a sourcing or job ad, advertising, everything works for us. And third one are referrals. I'm gonna go back to you. It's a little bit like the same, this big picture. I want to again remember you that please be authentic. Talk about your challenges. Put your expectation right. And I know that it's very tempting to say candidates, especially the ones who you really, really badly want to hire, that, promise something extra, which we know already time we said it that it's probably something which not going to happen, or I'm not sure about that. It's the case, but I'm going to just, pull it out because I want person make a positive decision. Now, it's kind of short-term solution because we're not hiring fools. I think they're very wise people. And after they join the company, few weeks, they're going to understand that something smells here. Something what was actually told to them is not true. And then contrary of that excitement that you need to have from this new person to join, you have something contrary that they start to be every day more disappointing. And it's lead to what? Of course, voluntary attrition in prohibition time. And just put some numbers in this Excel sheet, how much it actually costs to do that. You start a new hire with a situation when actually the previous one wasn't even onboarded yet. And also what the disappointment for a hiring manager that has happened. And all that can come from this little thing that we really did overpromise or didn't keep our promises to candidates. Your brand online, I would be pretty serious about that. Check out all your channels and also all this kind of feedback portals like Glassdoor, Kununu, and so on. Because this is something which your candidates gonna go after. Research have said that regular candidates actually checks everything which is out there about your company around 4 to 6 hours before the making decision to apply. And everything works with that. I mean, I didn't know anything about Bubble when Bubble's recruiter actually contacted me. And what I did, I went through all their LinkedIn page, every profile, especially careful for all the leadership profiles. I wanted to know with whom I gonna work with, what kind of people they look like. Would they be somebody I would enjoy work with? Would they be somebody actually I could learn something? And I checked all their Facebook profiles. I read every single Glassdoor comment. I didn't know about Kunono at that time, but also Facebook, all the information which I could get my hands on Google, everything helped me to make decision. Also, we can say that, this Glassdoor, they have some, fake reviews and so on. We agree, and I even have tried to match it sometimes with the candidates we have. That can we understand with whom it happened and realize that there is no realistic match. But it also can happen that we hurt this person pretty badly and it's just angry and want to put it out and it's a little bit overdoing it. Also, in the case they are fake, how the candidate knows that? Candidate takes this information which is out there. Maybe the positives are fake. There is also companies out there who actually making fake positive reviews. And you should be really careful because it's pays back to you. In some situation stage when you have offer stage the candidate and they need to make decision between your company and some other company, and then for example from this other company they have read more positive stuff than yours, and you never gonna know. They just say that it's just feels more like my thing, because this is the thing where it's like also a little bit difficult to give you feedback from the candidate side why they actually made the decision to reject your offer. Show your talents, please. I was so hungry to see those other people, like real people, not this kind of staged pictures or staged talk. Just the people who would just say in a corridor or something that how they feel about this company. And talented people actually want to work with other talented people. They actually drawn to that. They said, okay, I would have possibility to work with that person. That's why I could apply. And no wonder then that employees' feedback is 3 times more valuable than CEOs or manager one who says, it's great in oversight. You shouldn't ever forget that employer branding is not something that is done by PR, marketing, talent acquisition, or recruitment. We are all there together, all company. Everybody of us are actually building that puzzle or the tower. And sometimes this kind of real small details can actually pay and balance this kind of riches one side or another. Imagine if you go now to on-site interview and there is a very rude receptionist. And then later on, there is weird people in elevator, and the hiring manager is late, is not prepared, asking absolutely not relevant questions to your resume. It seems that they never read that, and so on and so on. I just start to put then all those pieces together to get a picture of that company. And end of all, I'm going to decide about it. And also maybe I know some friends there. I ask them, hey, you used to work there, or somebody of your friends worked there? But they talk about that. That always see that all the company need to be actually in that page. And it's super cool if you have some people who could be ambassadors of your employer brand, and these people are not actually part of always the HR department or in talent acquisition or in recruitment departments. It's kind of obvious what happens if you don't deal with your brand, I would say outside, but very specifically also inside. It's turnover. And I think there is so many possibilities out there to really have calculators that you can actually put all this cost together and see how much it's going to cost you. If your company culture is so bad that people join and then they leave very fast, then you need to actually recruit new ones. Nobody's going to apply. You need to actually hire new recruitment companies. They also have difficulties to convince people to join. And on top of that, you need to start offering more and more salary and other perks to get them convinced. And probably that is what your candidate's going to say to you if you then reach out to them. That this is the other side of the income. They're not going to talk with you anymore. I mean, you can try reach out via LinkedIn, Stack Overflow, whatever channels. But if your brand have actually rooted themselves, and everybody knows that negative information actually goes times faster than positive one. And if you already have a negative brand, it's very difficult to change that. It's much more better to deal with that right away and influence it and see when it's actually that we have pain points and we're going to actually deal with that. I think it's, you can say that it's a cliche, but this is actually the thing. It's about how you make them feel. And for me, it can be also something super little. For example, if I can't pass the first stages of application even. I mean, they said that application is easy, and then suddenly I need to fulfill the same information in some other complicated form. How it's easy then? How you care about me? You didn't think it through. You didn't probably even test it. That I think you should really take pieces of every communication or every interaction with your candidate and try to put yourself in their shoes and understand how it all makes them feel. Because this would be outcome of that everybody's super excited. They want to join your company. They're same excited still when they are in an onboarding phase. And if even after 6 months, you can keep them really excited about why they came there. We all know that company success is based on its people. And of course, it helps you to recruit the best. And the strong internal brand really helps you to keep talent in the company. And please don't forget that always start inside your house. Ask your people why they're there, why they joined the company first place, and how they feel after 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Is something changed? It's bring me one very interesting example, also times back. And one CEO came to me and said, I don't know if somebody wants to join our company because it's not so sexy and attractive and so on, why people should join. And I was a little bit confused, and I said, but you have 200 people working in company. And I working in a recruitment agency / job board. I haven't seen really many of your people applying. That you do something right there. Please go back and ask your people why they're there, why they stay, what's keep them there. And based on that, you actually start the building of your employer brand. And it's also pretty obvious that if we fail to deal with our employer's brand, we can lose our competitive advantage and also the corporate culture. And in the other side, strong, attractive employer brand helps us to save not only a salary cost, which even I would say is minor in that part, but also recruitment, marketing, training cost. And it also can be part of decision of buying. For me, it's kind of interesting. It seems that those are different groups of people that we have here. Consumers, then we have here candidates, and then we have here our employees. Actually, it's all the same group of people. We need to actually have conversation with all of them. And there can happen that somebody which is a huge fan of your consumer brand now decides to apply to your company. And if you then deal with her, him very badly in your recruitment process, it could actually influence the decision to buy, and they maybe don't want to use your products and services anymore. Also, contrary, you could get a so good recruitment experience for your brand that they would consider to use your services and products. Also, one little example here, that if the person, let's imagine, want to learn languages, and there is 3 different language hub, and person thinking which of them to really choose. But at the same time, person actually seen also one job problem. Person applies. Now we're dealing with this person super badly. It's very, very negative feelings about Pubble, and it's really not into us anymore. What do you think? Is this person really gonna decide to use Pubble app later on? Or is person gonna choose something which is our competition? I would guess that last is right, because we need to remember that those words are connected, and so many of our customers actually can be our candidates, and contrary. There is more pointers top of that we could say that yes, the good employer brand actually helps you to save payroll costs. But top of that, we know now that poor employer brand costs you lots of money, and it's much, much more than payroll cost. You're gonna hire less qualified people, which actually can influence your organization ability to grow. There can be brand damage, and I don't talk about only employer brand, but also your consumer brand and brand loyalty in stake. We're talking about retention, we're talking about attraction, referrals, higher recruitment costs, more for a training and education for all these people. Because imagine already that retention going, that how much you need to do it all over again, and sales and the revenue. And also top of that, if you have in a service or product company, the quality of your product. Now you can just, go back in the offices and calculate it all together. And I'm pretty sure that if you present it to that way to your managers or C-level, they're gonna listen to you. If they're not, I don't know what they're up to actually in those companies, but there is so much that one good employer brand can influence, and what kind of harm actually the non-existent or bad one can do. Now, not just ending up with this kind of little bit negative tone, I hope that we all gonna build in the future much better employer brands. And if this pandemic situation is over and everybody can travel a little bit more, I hope that next time when anybody of you who are the other side of screen there somewhere is visiting Berlin, let me know and we can have beer and schnitzel together. Thank you so much. And I think now it's time for some Q&A. Bye.